Hey, this is Digital Soul.
And what's up? This is your boy Big Rube, and we are the Purple
Purple Brothas.
Brothas. And we here once again. Hey, first one up, first album, Prince for You. I think it didn't get the credence it deserved because I don't think that Warner Brothers really pumped the album like they were supposed to. It was really just like soft and wet, and after that, you really hear nothing else pertaining to this album. But listening to this album, man, this album was a really good piece of work.
I agree. I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, on a release, it came out in 1978. It reached on the U.S. Billboard 200 chart at number 163, and on the R&B chart, it came in and debuted at number 21. Even though those numbers is a little light, it went on to sell over 2 million copies worldwide. So
We already know when that happened.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, we know. But yeah, I think this is one of those lost treasures. And
Yeah, and I'm a victim to that too, man. I was late on that one.
man, I remember this album growing up and going to the liquor store, man, and walking to the store and had a little section when they had vinyl. And I remember seeing that For You, the brother with the afro, and it said Prince for You. And I had to be like elementary school. I don't know what grade, but I would always wonder like, well, who is this dude? And then when you finally listening to one of the singles on the radio, I was like, oh, that's the guy that was in the liquor store that was selling the records. You know what I mean? So I was
In the liquor
like, okay,
store.
yeah, it was they were slanging the vinyl in the liquor store. So
Wow.
yeah, but a lot of people slept, but they're not sleeping no more. So without further ado, let's get into this first joint. This is For You. That's one of those joints that people slept on. Just very few lyrics. It just said what all of this and more is for you. With love, sincerity, and deepest care, my life with you I share. And just the way that he layered the vocals, I think it's a masterpiece because you
Yeah,
can really tell he took his time with that opening track.
yeah, absolutely. It reminds me. It reminds me of almost. It is the first album, but it almost reminds me of a birth. Like it is the actual birth of Prince because he's opening with that backward masking at the beginning of the song, which he's later used a lot. It starts off kind of backwards and then it goes to him singing not only in falsetto but also a cappella. As you mentioned, there's absolutely no music, and the shit is amazing. Like I actually, this whole record is like to me, it's a '70s record, number one, '78 as you mentioned, but to me, it still has that vibe of the '70s album. And you know me very well. I'm a big, huge fan of '70s work anyway. And
Yes.
the funny thing about this record, I just Sunday, I listened to it all the way through from beginning to end on Sunday. I was barbecuing outside. It's the perfect barbecue record, man. I mean, I was chilling, sipping my brew. I let For You play from beginning to end. It was a perfect Sunday afternoon barbecue record. And when For You came on, still to this day, man, I'm trying to figure out how many damn voices
Right.
is he doing on that song. I mean, listening to it over and over again, it's like it's a lot of voices. I wish I knew or I could see the layout of how many actual times he's layering himself because it's a beautiful song. It's amazing as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And coming being in acapella, man, it's like he's coming into the world pretty much naked. This is me,
Yeah.
raw, no music, no nothing. This is me layered, doing it like Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye did back in the day. They all sing their own vocals. It's smooth. And I want to give a shout out too, man, to a partner of mine, good friend of mine, Tate Sims, man, is a good, excellent guitarist, man. He just did a tribute to Prince the other day, and I've actually, if I had a choice, I would actually try to redo this song and see how it would sound. But Brother Tate Sims actually performed this song last week in the celebration to Prince's anniversary of his death last week, and he did an amazing job. If you have not checked out Tate Sims, man, he did a version of "For You" on his live, and it was great,
Awesome.
very, very good.
Definitely, definitely like to check that out. And with that being said, we're going right into the meat, which is In Love.
More do I have to say? I really wanna play in your river. Falling, falling, falling in love. I'm falling, baby, deeper every day.
The way it just glides from "For You" into "In Love" is hands down the best first two openers of the album.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. It just the chord progressions and everything. Um,
Yeah,
this is a talented 19, 20-year-old brother at this time. He probably was
18.
19, 18
Yeah,
when he
he's 18.
recorded. He was 18 when we recorded it, right?
Yeah,
So, and also, it was a lot of other record labels who didn't want to allow him to produce his albums. So Warner Brothers was one of the ones that's really enabled him to do so. And then
yeah,
hear him on these tracks and how he produced himself. And I mean, he played every single instrument by his damn self.
yeah.
I'm just wondering how much time did that take? You know what I mean? So this song is an incredible tune in a lovely falsetto, and it's just talking about he's just falling in love for a young lady. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I like it a lot. What you mentioned earlier though about not knowing how much time, it is reported that he put a lot of time into this album, which was why it was considered a disappointment at the time because
Yeah,
I think he's even quoted that he mentioned that he put a lot of time, invested a lot of money into this project, and it didn't live up to the sound at that time. 78, if you think about it, it was disco. People were going to Studio 54, disco driven. Everybody was looking for that four on the floor beat. And here comes this guy, high voice, falsetto, singing about being in love, which is an amazing song. The one that did catch on was Soft and Wet, which we'll jump into next. But I think that's probably why the album didn't probably, slid under the radar at that time.
yeah.
But
I think the advancement, the budget that he had for the record, I think he put a lot into that first record,
yeah,
um, and it was commercially it was like it didn't do as well,
yeah,
but
exactly.
as time went on and people really caught what Prince was about, people went to go back to the old records,
Right,
you know what
right.
I mean, and it started to, like I said, it sold over 2 million records worldwide. So at the end of
Yeah,
the day, it still sold a lot of records, man. So
yeah, yeah. And I'm guilty of that too because my actual first Prince album was actually the Prince album, the second album. That was the first one I ever actually owned.
right.
At 1978, I'm still on tricycle and playing skateboard and jacks and hopscotch and all that stuff. So I was a kid. So 78, I wasn't able to buy any albums at that point, but my aunt gave me the second album, which I had about 7, 8 years old. So it wasn't until like most people, I can't say everyone, but most people after Purple Rain really made them bigger than, what was expected. People actually went back to his back catalog and started to go back to Dirty Mind and Prince, and then
Mhm.
For You, of course. And I'm one of those people. So once Purple Rain came out, I was a teenager. So once I was able to acquire some money, I was able to go ahead and search for this album because the only thing I ever heard at this point was Soft and Wet, which
Right.
was played on the radio here and there. But that's the only thing I heard. I
Yeah.
never knew anything about the album until Purple Rain pretty much came out, and it was like, okay, he has another album before he Prince, the second album. So I ended
Yeah.
up finding the album, I think about 84, 85 is when I finally found it. and I found it at a Zodi's on a cassette.
Oh, you said Zodi's.
For all you OGs who remember Zodi's,
Yeah,
I'm
it was
telling my age
down the
here.
street. It was Zodi's down the street from me in LA on Vermont.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
Zodi's.
got that mug from Zodi's, man, for like $5. And I want to mention the line in Love, which is still it's a woman's, like, if I had to say this to a woman, there's a line in here. He said this is where he actually started to do his metaphors.
Okay.
What more do I have to say? I really want to play in your river.
River. I'm
That's
falling,
deep.
falling.
I want to tell a woman that.
Right. What more do I
I
have
want
to
to see
say?
what happens.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like when you had crushes on women,
Yeah, man.
back in the day, and you couldn't really have the words on your own to
Yeah,
say what you felt, and then you could reach back to like certain songs to help you with that confidence. And I
yeah, no doubt.
was, in that time, if we were teenagers at that particular time, we would have gravitated to that song because it
Yeah,
would have just resonated with us, and we could probably cheat and write those words down,
right. see who we can use them on.
So with that being said, man, we mentioned Soft and Wet. That is the third track.
Oh, that's a shit.
Man, when I heard that, I was like, that's the jam. Who is this person? And then when it was like, oh, this is Prince Soft and Wet, I'm like, first of all, when Soft and Wet came out, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about in the first place. And it's catchy. You can like, your love is soft and wet, and you just like, you don't know what you're talking about when you 7, 8 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was one of those ones that went under the radar with my mother, because my mother was kind of strict on certain stuff she wanted me to hear at that particular time. And when I heard Soft and Wet, I had no idea what he was talking about. So it was just one of those catchy tunes. Soft and Wet was like a top 10 hit for him, I believe.
Yeah, that was a banger.
Yeah, it was a banger. But I'm wondering why after Soft and Wet with the, it did pretty well, probably on the R&B charts. But I wonder why they didn't really push it after Soft and Wet. You know what I mean? Because you had other potential singles on that album. So listening to it now, I was like, what were they thinking? It was just, one and done with them. And because I don't think they came out with any other singles after Soft and Wet.
Yeah, nothing I'm aware of. And I know a couple of songs, in my opinion, that would have made a great follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the only thing that I actually have the record here, man. I just pulled it out.
Pull it out. Show the people.
The first 45, as I mentioned, the first 45 ever on this is I Want to Be Your Lover, which is the first 45. This is it, the original I had when I was a kid. But on the flip side of that is My Love Is Forever, which is also on this album. So this is one of the songs I thought should probably been pushed as a single, but they ended up putting it on a B-side of I Want to Be Your Lover in 1979.
Right.
So besides Soft and Wet at that time as a kid, My Love Is Forever is the only other song I ever heard because I had that 45. But Soft and Wet, also written by Chris Moon. Interesting story. Chris Moon is actually responsible for actually kind of teaching him how to record and develop his engineering skills, producing skills, and he had to set up to actually record. And they actually came out to Northern Cal, Sausalito, to actually do the first 2 albums, actually. And Chris Moon is actually the one that encouraged Prince to actually do the double entendre on the words, which is also in Love, as we mentioned earlier, about, what more do I have to say on, playing the river, and in this one, the same thing. Because he's a co-writer, he encouraged Prince to play with that. Imagine this is an 18-year-old, like 18 years old. I'm thinking about what kind of car I'm gonna buy and where I'm gonna work. This guy's writing sexual innuendos slipping them, you know, under the radar on us. You know, like genius shit already.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris Moon is responsible for that. So meaning soft away can mean a kiss. It can be, you know, something else. It could be the woman's body. So, you know, that song played on that. And then in 1978 for an 18-year-old was rare,
Mm-hmm.
but we see the first two songs on the first song was the acapella song, but 2 and 3, those songs actually play on those sexual innuendos like really, really thoroughly. And that's the big, we see the early sexual innuendos really early in Prince's career on the first album, which a lot of people are not even aware of. And that will continue on to, you know, to the rest of his career.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was one of those who always know how to, you know, hide those sexual innuendos in songs and metaphorically. So, you know, even with Soft and Wet, is you're just as soft as a lion tamed. You're just as wet as the evening rain. Like,
You can use that some pimp lines too. You can use that on some more.
yeah. So now,
Yeah.
after Soft and Wet, we have one of my favorites on the joint, and it's called Crazy You.
I'm just a crazy fool, lost in the world of love I get from crazy you.
I like it a lot, man. It's one of my favorite tunes. I wish also it could have been a little bit longer, because after the chorus, it kind of fades out. But it would have been a cool song to kind of maybe hear some guitar soloing. Because it always reminded me, you know who I would have loved to maybe redo this and maybe hear how it would come out is like, it reminds me of a George Benson type joint. I can hear him maybe playing guitar, you know, it's his guitar style or, you know, somewhere along the lines. But I think it's a great song. And he's playing these water drums is what they're called, which has that sound like a stick hitting water. I love that sound. So that to me is intriguing in itself already in that song.
Yeah.
But the whole melody is like, it's something that you really can, like you said, it's just a cool song. You can't really forget it because that melody, that da, 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 it just kind of sticks with you, man. And it's a cool, laid back vibe, man.
Yeah, and a band back in the day in the 90s sampled this particular record, and when I heard it, I was like, that's Prince.
Who
And
that? I don't remember that.
oh, I do. Yeah, it was back in the 90s in the R&B bands when you had Silk and Shy and Jodeci and Boyz II Men and all these different groups, right?
I don't remember that.
The group that did it was Color Me Bad.
Sampled Crazy You?
Sampled Crazy You. I don't know the name of the song anymore, but it wasn't on their first album. It was on an album, I believe it was called Time and Chance from Color Me Bad.
Okay, I'm about to search that out.
Yeah, check it out. It's they looped it. They looped the guitar part. Dun, 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 dun. So
Okay.
when I heard it, I was like, "That's Prince." And did you get permission? Did you get permission?
Yeah, you know that was probably in the 90s because Color Me Bad was out in the 90s.
Yeah, it wasn't on their first album. I think, you know,
Later on.
it was later on. They was doing music with DJ Pooh.
Gotcha.
And DJ Pooh did the title track called Time and Chance. And in one of the records on that album, they sampled the Crazy You joint. So just a little trivia.
Okay. Shout out to Color Me Bad, man.
Shout out to Color Me Bad. It was cool back then. You know, they weren't just one hit wonders, but you know, it's all good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So after Crazy You, we have Just As Long As We Are Together.
I'll get the music, baby, you bring the wine. Just as long as we're together. Oh, together ain't nothing better. Just as long as we're
Total disco vibes on this one, man. This probably the most disco that you'll ever get out of Prince is this song. This song is very disco, but it's funky though.
It's funky. It's funky.
Yeah, especially the second half, the whole conga break. Cause you know I'm a conga guy, man. So
Yeah,
I love how he's slapping them things and that bass. I like the second half of the song more than the first half. The first half,
yeah,
when I listen to the first half, I'm just waiting on the last half of the song to come,
right. Yeah,
basically come on, because that whole breakdown and the way it fades out the last 3 minutes of the song, man, I love it. But
yeah,
yeah, it's a cool song.
yeah.
The
For sure.
disco side of Prince at that time.
Right, right, right. Definitely, definitely, definitely. It's one of those joints where the first part of the song he sings in falsetto, and then the second verse he sings kind of like in his natural voice.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool. The
yeah,
second verse of the song is my favorite part of the song.
yeah,
It does have that disco vibe. I was never really into the disco type stuff, so
mhm,
it doesn't. It really has the vibe. So it was probably one of those. After I heard the second verse, I would just run along to the next record. No
yeah,
disrespect to it, but it wasn't my favorite. But
yeah,
it was just one of those songs that I could, I can listen a little bit of it and then just kind of move on.
yeah.
So just as long as we together, it's cool, but not my favorite. Digital Soul likes it, but he likes the second half of it.
Yeah, I like the funk. It's the
He like,
disco break.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on to another ballad on the debut album from Prince. This is Baby.
What we gonna do? I'm so in love with you.
It's one of those killer ballads on the
Yeah,
album. It's probably the best ballad on the album.
yeah,
I love Crazy You. It's just the lyrics to it. They were really having a conversation about what we're going to do with ourselves in the future. It's like, I love you, and I love you so much that we're creating, another person to bring in this world. So they're contemplating their decisions. So it's like, should we go on living together, or should we get married right away? There were like, it was a lot of things that were going into the psyche. You know what I mean? Like, what are we going to do? And he says that several times in the song, and it's just a beautiful record. And
yeah,
especially at the end of the record, um, when I guess they decided they were going to have this child, and he said, "I hope our baby had eyes just like you." And I was
yeah,
like, "Wow, man, this is a beautiful ballad by Prince."
yeah.
Under the radar, one of them under the radar songs.
I agree. Agree. It almost could be considered a message song. Like you said, that last line kind of just seals the deal.
Yeah,
With that, hope our baby has eyes like you. But yeah, I don't know per se if Prince actually went through this personally or anything. But
right.
regardless if he did or not, it's a great story, and it's a great way for a person that probably was dealing with that to probably find some answers in those lyrics, because the lyrics are very deep as far as the questions that he's asking in the song.
Yeah,
And like
absolutely.
you said, and I keep hating to have to go back to he's 18, but he's 18 years old. And this is like some shit that maybe like a lot of answers that 30, 40 people, 40-year-old people don't have at this time. Like, well,
Right,
what should we do about this situation? And
right.
he put it out there in the song. The song is simple. It's 3 minutes, I think. It's straight to the punch.
Hmm.
It says what it has to say, and it's out.
So after Baby, we have My Love Is Forever.
Dope song, man.
Yeah, yeah, I can
That's
tell.
definitely a sleeper cut.
That's your favorite?
Sleeper cut. I'm saying that's a sleeper.
That's your sleeper cut?
Yeah, like I would play that like at a club or something. If like what album was that on? That was on the
Right.
Prince for You album.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I just love everything about it. It was well produced. I love all the instrumentation, the
Yeah, yeah.
guitars toward the end of the record, and
Hmm.
how he fused the guitars together. When you have one playing the rhythm guitar, the other one's playing the lead guitar, and he's doing all this with all the different instruments with the keyboards and the drums and whatever. It was just a well crafted record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great, man. It reminds me of a two-stepper song. I mean, like I said, I would play it in the club. It's one of those move and groove songs, you know, you just kind of just flow. It's a relaxing song, you know, it's really cool. Um, I don't like I said, I don't know if the message that he wrote in the song was personal, but the lyrics are great. You know, it's just talking about how his love was, you know, for that person and that person only. He'll do what he can to, you know, to make it last forever. And like you said, the instrumentation on it, the whole the keyboard sequence using those as the horns and things like that, man. The whole song is just it's a great song. I'm a little upset now, even 40 years later, they didn't release that song as a follow up to
That
Soft and
could
Wet.
have been
I think it would have been a cool one.
that would have been a cool one. It would have been a great radio song.
Yeah, yeah,
Just but I don't know. I don't, we have to do more research on the reasons why they didn't put more singles out on this album. It's an incredible
yeah.
album. And after that, we have the next track. It's called
So blue.
Now you're gone, and I'm so blue.
Jazzy shit right there, boy. That's like some Billy. That's on some Billie Holiday, Carmen McRae. It's just smooth and jazzy. Sipping on some wine, smoking a cohiba. It's just a cool song. It's laid back. It's a chill song. And one of the first, I think the first real example of hearing Prince doing a little country, because it kind of has a little bit of a country twang with the guitars, and then also jazz and blues infused, because we hear the brushing of the drums as it's going through the song. Not playing the drums, but hear the brushes.
Yeah.
And it's just chugging along, man. It's just a great song, and then at the end, the last minute or so, he lifts off, man. He takes it to the stratosphere. I like the song, man. It's very, very underrated and one of those songs that should be talked about more often in the Prince canon, I believe.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Blue, to me, it's a depressing song. Because it seemed like everything was so good with his lady, and then now you come to a point where, they've come to a crossroads, and now they're like breaking up. Because he said, I had everything I needed, but now my life is so blue. Because she's not around anymore. He feels like his life is kind of like, meaningless, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a depressing record, but it's still a very well crafted record.
But think about it, man. This like I said, I hate to keep doing this, but 18 years old,
Yeah,
writing stuff like In Love, Soft and Wet, and then going to a blues song like So Blue and writing about the blues. And that's basically what the blues is about. Basically losing your woman.
right.
Losing your house, losing your car keys. You losing something in the blues. Something you ain't got. That's the meaning of the blues. So I think Prince at 18 years old is giving us his first taste of the blues, and I just think that that's freaking amazing. At that age and the sound, and like I said, especially the last minute where he kind of lifts off into that high falsetto, and then it's just the music, and it kind of just fades out. So I think it's a great song.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's just a depressing song, just I don't want to be upset about anything and then go to So Blue, because
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, can you do it? So we can mark this as in your canon, Prince's first depressing song for you, right?
Yeah, this was depressing, man. He was like, he started off, I had everything I needed and everything's going to shit. You know what I mean? So it's like,
there's a lot of love lost songs in the Prince library, so this is the first. So we're gonna go through them all.
yeah. So shout out to you. It's still a very, very good record.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so we come to the last track on the album, and it's called I'm Yours.
Never have I ever loved before. Never have I wanted to do more.
it ends the album on a high note. That's like probably, yeah, as far as the other songs, I don't think this one hits, those other songs hit as hard as this one.
Right.
This song, yeah, this one just comes in and high screech guitars, guitar solos, bass solos at the end. This is, I think this is his show off joint. He saved this one for last because there's a lot of soloing on this one and a lot of manic, even if you listen to him drumming, the drum roll, there's a lot of manic drum rolling in the song. It's just very, very good. So, like I said, to me, man, I just can't get past the fact that when I listen to it now, um, you know, as a first album, I always listen to it in my mind. This is Prince's first album, and at 18 years old, I can't fathom him being in the studio playing all these instruments and doing this instrumentation on this song and all these vocals.
Right.
Cool secret too. Before I let you get your view, initially, Warner Brothers wanted Maurice White of Earth, Wind, and Fire to actually produce this album when he first got this contract.
Why they didn't let him do that? At least do a song, you know.
Well, Prince being who he was, you know, he had a lot of confidence, and you know, a lot of the people that he was around at that time, you know, they had a lot of confidence in him. I mean, he was a one-man machine,
right?
With all the knowledge that he learned and everything. But yeah, initially they were wanting Maurice White, which I don't even know how that would have worked out because Earth, Wind, and Fire at 77, 78, they were at the top of their game. I mean, they were like up here.
Right.
You know, Maurice White had the Emotions, you know, a couple of other groups, Pockets, a couple of other groups he was doing at that time. Yeah. They had the biggest albums of their career at the time. So I don't even know where he would have found the time or how that album would have even turned out. You know, would have Maurice White even had taken his time with Prince to do the album with the songs sound the same as far as the technology is concerned.
Right.
I mean, but that's neither here nor there now because it's what's done is done.
Right.
But you know, Prince being who he was, he said, "Nope, I'm doing this album my damn self."
Right. Yeah. And that's great to have that confidence in yourself to do so. And who to say that Maurice White would have came in, probably would have changed the trajectory of his career. Yeah. Maybe in a good way or maybe in a bad way. You just don't know. So I was just happy that Warner's took the time and let the brother do what he needs to do, because he showed you 40 plus albums later that he's probably one of the greatest musicians ever to walk this planet.
Right. And take complete control at an early age.
Yeah, the first record.
Yeah, first record.
The first album, you like, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna do
Maurice White is not touching nothing.
No, you can't do it like I do it.
He's like, no, hell no.
No, Warner Brothers, I'm doing it myself. So yeah, man, even from the beginning of I'm Yours with the bass guitar and it just, you know, the smacking of the bass and then going into the guitar riffs and all the way to the end, it's just a rocker record. It's just like, to me, it's just one of those, it's the best way to end an album. Like, take that, I'm here and I'm here to stay.
Yeah, he put a stamp on it. Yeah,
absolutely, he put a stamp on this thing here. So man, without question, I'm Yours is probably one of the I mean, it's not too many up-tempo songs on this album, but I'm Yours is right up there as one of the top of the whole. Yeah, probably the best up-tempo on the whole record, honestly. I'll put this one past Soft and Wet, actually.
Yeah, and it's a great way. It's just a great way to close the record, because like I said, it just show not only I'm yours, but I'm done. Take this record.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also want to give an honorable mention, man, to Owen Husney, man, his first manager, who actually managed him and actually guided his career, you know, in the mid-70s and got him to help assist with his contract.
Bro,
you know, with Warner Brothers, who also believed in Prince enough to help him secure that deal to say he wants to produce himself. because not only with Prince, but also with Owen Husney, man, without that decision, we probably would not have For You sounding the way that it does to this day. And
Right.
it's a record, like I said, I put on just a few days ago, and it's one of those records, man. I'll be honest with you, I don't play it much. It's
Mm.
not one of the first Prince albums that I go to, but when I do decide to pull it out, I let it play.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it to the fullest. It's one I can actually listen to all the way through, and I can just really just vibe off of it. You mentioned Chris Moon, who actually was a co-writer of Salt and Wet, man. He actually helped Prince develop the style of singing at high register. He actually talks about in the Wax Poetic book how they were recording, and because Prince sang so much in the falsetto during the whole entire process of recording, that it was hard to hear him. So he went in the control booth and Prince was out, singing. He couldn't hear him. Punched in another line, couldn't hear him. He went out to where Prince was, asked him to test the mics. Mic was working fine. So Chris Moon runs back into the control booth and he realizes that Prince is not singing hard enough. He's not vocally, actually, throwing that falsetto into the mic hard enough. He's singing real
Right.
soft.
Right.
So while doing that, he was trying to come up with a solution. So he comes up with the solution and thinks because, Prince is the person that he was at 18, I guess Chris Moon kind of sensed that. He made a bed in the middle of the recording studio. And this is during the For You sessions. He created a bed, and then Chris Moon had a basement or a bedroom somewhere underneath that studio. So he went downstairs and got pillows, and he created this whole bed, and he asked Prince to lay down, and he figured that would work, and that process actually worked. So Prince laying down in the bed in the studio, there was a man-made bed by Chris Moon for Prince to record and sing, and that actually worked. It helped him project his vocals into the mic a little bit more than when he was sitting up.
Wow.
True
Wow.
story.
Yeah, that's dope. Shout out to Chris Moon, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. You never know. We might get him on here with the Purple Brothers. You never know down the line.
Yeah. And Owen Husney. Shout out to Owen Husney. This is a picture of what Owen Husney looks like now. This was last year, 2019. Without Owen Husney, man, Prince would not have gotten that contract with Warner Brothers because there was a few contracts or a few labels actually that actually turned him down. But with the assistance of Chris Moon and also Owen Husney, that team kind of helped secure that deal for Prince. And we have For You.
So let me ask you this, Digital Soul. Out of the 9 records from For You, give me your top 3.
Out of the songs on the album?
Yes.
Top. Oh man.
Just give me 3.
It's definitely gonna be In Love.
Okay.
I would have to go with My Love Is Forever.
Okay.
And I gotta do Crazy You, man. Even I love Soft and Wet, but Crazy You is just it just does something to me, man. Great. Like I said, I wish that song could have just been a pinch longer. I'm sorry that it's only 2 minutes long, but I think it would have been like a really good song to flesh out with just some instrumentation and guitar playing at the end. But I love the song.
Yeah. I'm almost in agreement with you. I'm gonna say, for me, My Love Is Forever is the go-to.
Yeah.
Baby.
Mm-hmm.
Baby is number 2 for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in a quandary right now. I'm not. I really want to say I'm yours, but then again, I want to say In Love. You know what I mean? So I'm like, but for the sake of the top 3, for me, I'm gonna go with In Love.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you had to go with an additional maybe.
Honorable mention would be I'm Yours.
Yeah, I'm yours. Okay.
Yeah.
The closer song.
The closing song is just funky. Just funky.
It is, yeah. It is, no doubt about that.
No doubt.
I agree.
Yeah. So here we are at the close of For You. We hope that you guys like what we said about the record, give it our own intake and experience of that album. If you want to follow, please like and subscribe. Purple Brothas, we're here. We
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys watching us, checking us out, and we'll be back with the next episode real soon.
We got a whole lot more, man. So stay tuned.